I've spent over 13 years building my businesses from nothing to millions, and over that time I've experienced the constant anxiety of feeling like I'm not doing well enough, that I'm not doing well financially. I discovered that there was a disconnect between the reality of how I was doing on paper compared to how I was actually feeling deep inside. Judging how we're all doing financially is individual, and I'm going to share the 5 tips that have helped me balance my mental health and actually objectively assessing how I'm doing financially. Number 1, comparing yourself to others. Research in social psychology has consistently shown that frequently comparing yourself against others can lead to lower self-esteem. However, there's also plenty of evidence that proves healthy forms of social comparison can promote progress and competition. So in reality, like with dieting, there is a healthy balance to strive for here. Now, I'm not going to lie. A big reason I've objectively achieved a lot, gone through the entrepreneurial pain of building my businesses, is because I am competitive. I saw people with money, with the big house, the fancy car, and I thought, I want that. And that fueled my motivation in my 20s. But also the biggest source of anxiety for me that was fueling that feeling of me not doing enough was that even though I was doing well on paper, that no matter what I achieved, there was always someone out there with more that I kept comparing myself to. The more I achieved, thinking that would make me feel better somehow, the more I kept wanting more and more and more, and that kept making me depressed. Getting this balance right is really important, because you could have millions in the bank right now, but still feel like you're not fulfilling your potential. From personal experience, I know achieving more financially does not always connect to knowing that you're actually doing well financially. The solution I found lies within my next tip, which is number 2, setting clear financial goals. So rather than just saying comparing yourself to others is bad, I focused on applying the evidence that healthy forms of social comparison can actually promote my progress. So as I inevitably build a view of what I want in life, what I want to achieve financially in life, rather than just keeping that in my head, put it down on paper and look to plot a realistic path to achieving those things. The relationship between setting realistic goals and success is well documented. Research and studies prove time and time again that those setting challenging but achievable goals not only see an increased motivation and performance, but importantly, higher levels of well-being and happiness. That links perfectly to tip number 3, focus on the small steps. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. If you run a marathon, you expect there to be mile markers along the way. You'll know when you pass mile 1, mile 2. Each time you pass a mile marker, there is a huge psychological benefit to you knowing that you are progressing towards a target. In the same way that you break down a marathon into 26 mile markers, you need to break down your realistic financial goals into smaller, manageable steps. By doing this, as you progress along your financial journey, it is more likely you will recognize you are hitting each of those steps, and therefore organically start to gain more comfort that you are actually doing well financially. If you find you aren't hitting those individual steps, that creates a trigger to assess. Are your goals realistic? Are there things you need to change about what you're doing so that you get yourself back on track? As you focus on hitting each of those steps that leads to your larger financial aspirations, you then need to start focusing on tip 4. You need to celebrate success. You've got to celebrate the small wins. You've got to learn to associate achieving the small goals as something positive, because it is a collection of the small wins that lead to the big wins financially. The Pavlov's dog's experiment proved that ringing a bell when feeding a dog led to that dog associating the ringing bell with eating. So eventually the dog would learn to salivate just by the bell being rung, even if there was no food present at all. You have to train yourself to associate success as success. If you achieve great things and you don't celebrate it, you won't learn to associate success to a positive thing. You'll end up doing well financially, but might not feel like you have. because you haven't created that reward structure within your own psychology. You have to reward and recognize your own progress. Otherwise, it is more likely you revert to simply comparing yourself with others in an unhealthy manner. And finally, 5, lifestyle balance. It's hard to achieve anything great without doing a collection of things you don't want to do. You can cook and eat a wonderful meal, but you still need to do the dishes. Everything is about balance, and if all you do is wash the dishes and don't enjoy the beauty of cooking and eating the meal, doing the dishes is going to start to feel like it isn't worthwhile. Now, I'm not sure if that's a good analogy, but if you don't celebrate the success in a way that promotes a balanced lifestyle, you won't teach yourself to associate financial success with deep down satisfaction. I love the quote from Robert Brault: "Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realise they were the big things." See you in the next video.